Violette1st, Clam fishing. Introduction. Hello, welcome to yet another Violette1st short story. This is all about the Violette1st family going clam fishing. Plot. It is a peaceful summer morning in Mount Airy, Maryland. Violette is getting up. A few seconds later Violette and William walk downstairs for breakfast. A few minutes later Violette and William tuck into some cold yogurt for breakfast. A few seconds later a 473-pound Bill walks downstairs for breakfast. A few seconds later Bill asks for breakfast. 1 second later Violette hands Bill a bowl of cold yogurt. Bill screams at the top of his lungs. A few seconds later Violette tells Bill they are going clam fishing in 2 hours. A few seconds later Bill screams at the top of his lungs because he hates going on boats. A few minutes later Violette and the boys get ready for the day. 30 minutes later they speed off to a pier in Baltimore. 1 hour later Violette and the boys get on the SS, Cheapskate. A few seconds later Violette and William get ready. A few seconds later Bill lays down on a beach chair. A few minutes later Violette steers her boat onto the Chesapeake Bay. An hour later Violette drops anchor in the middle of the bay. A few seconds later Bill asks for lunch. Violette says they are having clams for lunch. A few seconds later Bill is given some dead worms and a fishing pole. 1 second later Bill starts eating the worms because he is hungry. 2 seconds later Bill gets slapped. 1 minute later Bill casts a line into the water. A few seconds later Violette and William start fishing. 5 seconds later Bill screams because he hasn't caught anything. A few seconds later Bill gets a nibble. 10 seconds later Bill roars when he sees he only got a baby goldfish. A few seconds later Bill grabs a bucket of chum. A few seconds later Bill dumps 9 pounds of chum into the water. A few seconds later a school of flesh-eating piranhas appeared out of nowhere. A few seconds later Violette hears Bill giggling. A few seconds later Bill grabs a drill. A minute later Bill finishes drilling several holes into the hull of the SS, Cheapskate. A few seconds later Bill speeds away with the lifeboat. A minute later Violette sees the flesh-eating piranhas. A few seconds later Violette and William start panicking. A minute later Violette blasts a few flares. A minute later William launches 8 fireworks. A few minutes later the boat is 82% sunk. A few seconds later the piranhas get closer. A minute later Violette and William escape with a helicopter. A few minutes later Violette pops Bill's lifeboat. A minute later hundreds of flesh-eating fish surround Bill and his sinking lifeboat. A few minutes later only Bill's teeth, bones and blood remain in the Chesapeake Bay. The end.